Hey, we are back again. This is the third one. I guess this is the third one, also my first series. So today, I'm gonna be nerding out. Like this is hardcore nerding out, and that's on books. We are starting off strong with Girl in Pieces. Controversial, maybe a little bit. Also an icon, hell of an icon. I believe like this book specifically, it's a bit interesting because it builds a bridge, kind of. It builds a bridge to like people who have struggled with self-harm, like the whole community, with I would say normal, specifically book talk / book YouTube / book anyone. Because most of the content I've seen of this book is from people who have not ever struggled with it, and this is like their introduction to how it feels like, which is interesting because this book, like, it kind of makes sense because like by the way, this is gonna have spoilers, yeah, so this is kind of how it's gonna be, but basically it's about the main character. Her name is Charlotte Davis, and she got, I believe, assaulted, I guess. Basically just trauma, shit ass, bitch ass, ton of trauma, and then unhealthy coping mechanisms, and then she gets kicked out, and then she's in a psych ward. Like, the pipeline. The kind of iconic pipeline, I would say, kind of. But yeah, it's like kind of traumatic event, or like I mean, the main story is basically like smaller traumas, one big event, relapse / going fucking insane, getting kicked out, psych ward, recovering from the psych ward, and then recovering from everything. That's the general pipeline of the story, but also encountering different things during recovering, because for example she gets a job at Grit, I think that's the name of the restaurant she works at for briefly, I believe, yeah. And then boom, she gets a boyfriend and he's a drug addict and things like that. And then she kind of like snatches the stuff for him, and I believe she doesn't get into it. I'm not sure right now. But basically just a toxic boyfriend that does not help. Or does a little bit. She gets attached as fuck and then tries to change him. Darling, you cannot change him. That's literally a message for anyone watching this. You cannot change a person. Especially with the trend to be loved is to be changed. Hell nah. Like, that shit applies to maybe items. That applies to strictly items, because if you look at my copy, it's beat up. It's beat up, it's highlighted, it's not in a, like the spine is fucking broken. You cannot see it on the camera, but it's fucking broken. But yeah, so that applies to items, not people. Which I would hope so. Because nobody's changing me. I just shit in my own mouth. I believe I am gonna be so different. Yeah, be fair. Whatever. Yeah, but like my main point is it's pretty generic. It's nothing unique when it comes to the story. And also, I really appreciate Riley as a character. Riley is the toxic boyfriend. He's pretty cool. Not the best way to say cool, but like, as a character, I guess. Not terribly written. Yeah, basically like this came out in 2016. It's by Kathleen Glasgow, and this was, I think, her introduction to writing, slash publishing more books. Like this kickstarted a little trilogy, um, or a series. I'm not sure right now. Basically, like the first book was Growing Pieces. After that, we also have You'd Be Home Now and How to Make Friends with the Dark. I believe those are like the two similar books that touch on addictions. Yeah, but let's look at the culprit here, and that is the self-harm. I would like to start talk about the cover, because like, yeah, it's cute and pinkish, but like those are cats. Those are cats. Okay, a little bit of a trigger warning here. I'm gonna be discussing the depth of it, but like this looks kind of shallow. But also later in the book, when she relapses with glass, because okay, so her method of self-harming is glass, or at least it was at first, and then when she relapses because of a fight with Riley, I believe, she pulls it out of a little box and ends up going all over her body, like all. I really appreciate that scene specifically. I don't have it noted slash bookmarked. I just have a few quotes here I'm gonna touch on, but I don't have this bookmarked. But basically, the thing is that the usual self-harm experience goes into like 3 categories, I would say, and that's the average teenager, which is, I would say, the quiet kid in the back of the class, like those people who dismantle pencil sharpeners, maybe stare at their dad's razors, like those double-sided ones. I think that's like the first category. Second category is, once again, I would say I call this one like this clueless severe, which is I've seen it on pictures from like the specific case. I think it was like a borderline person. It was on a gore website, so nothing light, but also I don't believe the person posted the pictures themselves. It was yeah, interesting. Basically, I like it was severe, but once again, it's like when self-harm shows up because of mental illness and not from like the social pressure, for example, because when I return to first category, which is the teenager, is usually because of bullying slash coping with mental health. And then there's the third category that is kind of known but also kind of not, and that is the social media. Social media that is split into multiple categories again, and that's the Twitter and Tumblr people, and then you have the TikTok. Okay, this is like going kind of in depth, so again, trigger warning, but basically at least from like a standpoint from a person that's on there, the TikTok side is people posting about it. That's the teenagers, that's mostly the teenagers, and then you have the Twitter and Tumblr that's more severe, more just there's this like specific, like I'm gonna be blunt here, but basically people who post their cats voluntarily, communities like that, they exist. There's 2 or 3 I can think of, but yeah, or like, but basically, or 3 or 4, or like it's under hashtags. But basically, what I would say is it's just like when you post something of your own and then you see people going worse, it's it motivates you. You want to go deeper. That's a pipeline from experience that you are gonna bump into. It's just in these communities, like I know there's a video about it by V Plasma. That basically informs and disregards, like puts a really realistic slash pessimistic slash basically realistic light from a normal person on specifically shit Twitter. So self-harm eating disorder Twitter. And that's basically, I don't know how to explain it, but basically, like, this community is disguised as a safe space to talk about this stuff, except it's not safe. It's just a place to talk about this stuff because you are gonna get worse. I know that Twitter and the people of Twitter don't like to be mentioned out here like this, but I'm not gonna mention any people. I know that V Plasma had screenshots. I'm not gonna put screenshots here. I'm not gonna expose anyone. But yeah, they don't like the light, and I'm not surprised. I'm not gonna mention how the whole dynamic works. But that's one of the reasons you don't get on there. It's not gonna help you. Or I've seen people that this is more in the like disordered slash eating disorder side of Twitter, and that's people go on there to give themselves an eating disorder, and I believe that on the self-harm side people also go there to start self-harming slash relapse self-harming slash go get more severe. So no, these communities do not help. And my experience with these communities separates me so much from Charlie's experience in Growing Pieces, because like there are things and the mindset and the thoughts behind like the coping mechanisms she doesn't understand, or like I don't understand why she does them, because it's like when you're aware about it, you just kind of you're asking yourself like, what the fuck, that's not how that works. But yeah, enough of that. That's probably like the biggest problem I had with the book, and that's it doesn't cover the experience with self-harm that I had. Yeah, but there's also like more positive points that the book touches on. I have like a little note here. But basically the first one is that recovery is not in fact linear. I believe she had at least one relapse after she got out of the psych ward and out of the homelessness. But yeah, like you're gonna relapse. That's just how recovery works. Like if you get into a disorder and or like any unhealthy coping mechanism and then you try, or any addiction, and try to get the fuck out without relapsing, good luck, because that's not happening. You can recover, but like it's gonna suck. I say that always. It sucks. um yeah, but in the end everything kind of gets better. Or it gets easier to tolerate because your behaviors change and your mindset changes. You can see it in the book, like in the beginning, her mind gets so fucked up that like she just her thinking is a mess. She doesn't know what she's doing because like she's lost, quite literally in pieces, and then she puts herself back together. I think there was a quote about this. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's a quote about this. I will read out. But basically, like she starts putting herself back together, but also in a stronger way. She is a little bit stronger in the end. Also, like that's the theory. I think she's like 17, 18 by the end of the book. Or maybe she's younger. She's like 16. Oh, 17. She's 17. Okay. But yeah, that's yeah. So she's pretty young. Literally, the analogy at the end of the book says Cheryl Davis is in pieces at 17. She's already lost more than most people do in a lifetime. Like 17 is a crazy age to be. I'm scared. I'm scared for all my friends that are gonna be dead or dead or already dead. Like, I'm so sorry for you. And shout out to all the people that survived it, because from what I've seen, there's many that didn't. But basically, like, yeah, there's a quote about this. I think the man that's saying this, that's like the man that in the end, after she relapses because of the experience with Riley she had at the grid, one of her co-workers helped her move to like kind of far away and to like a guy, because like Charlotte is really like artistic. She like draws and stuff. So basically, like they help her like be an so she gets another job as like an assistant to like an uncle, or like just one guy, just an old guy, and he tells her, quote, "Everyone has that moment, I think, the moment when something so momentous happens, the assault slash death slash whatever slash Charlie's best friend's death happens, that it rips you into very small pieces, and then you have to stop for a long time. You gather your pieces and you assemble them in a way, not necessarily a better way, more a way you can live with, until you know for certain this piece should go there and that one there." So basically growing in sorts. I mean, yes, there's that little note about not in a better way, but also in a way you can grow, because you can always rearrange the pieces. That's the thing. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, yeah, there's also a note. I have another, and that's like coming back to a reason where like the self-harm experience, because there is a patient slash another girl in the psych ward, and that's her name is Casper. No. Oh no, that's a different one. Oh, sorry, I'm saying bullshit. I didn't find the origin. Casper is the nurse. Sorry, I'm saying bullshit right now. I believe Blue was the basically another patient. She burned herself, I think. But basically, this is Charlie's explanation for why she self harms. Quote, "My body is on fire all the time, burning me away day and night. I have to cut the black heat out. When I clean myself, wash and mend, I feel better, cooler inside and calm, like moss feels when you get far back in the woods." I mean, about the washing part, like when you self harm, it's sometimes about the pain, sometimes about making you feel something, maybe to suppress something else, either you feel nothing, you feel bad. So you either make yourself feel something, or you try to feel anything else except the thing you don't want to feel. Basically, it can be emptiness, it can be pain, things like that. Yeah, but about the washing part, the thing is that self-harm is a ritual. I can actually agree to that, because she said that cleaning up after a session, it's comforting because it's a ritual. It is, and that's one of the reasons for me that it's been hard to get out of self-harm, and that's because it's a ritual. It's a ritual about like everything you do during it, everything you do after it, talk about it to people. It's a whole thing. It's a whole fucking thing. Yeah, but like, it's an interesting book. Maybe not the best one to introduce an okay person to self-harm, because it takes like a little look, kind of like from a back standpoint. I know that it's probably also okay, the further away point of view, or like, I believe it's a really disconnected. I have a feeling that's why it's not too triggering, because it's not that triggering. Because I've seen on social media, like pictures of a page, or hello, I'm starting to read Girl in Pieces. What should I do before reading the book? And it was like, hide all sharp objects. um, the thing is that, yeah, I understand the disconnection for it to not be too triggering, but also it should not be used as a way to like get into self-harm, because I believe people read this to relapse. But that's everything. Like, even the last video I made, it was about eating disorders. Or when I see people watching videos about self-harm disorders, drugs, it's just to make themselves worse and relapse, and to like just get motivation. I'm not surprised. I understand the idea behind doing that, but yeah, it should not be used that way, but that's common knowledge. That's pretty much common knowledge. So yes, this is, I would say I could start calling books brilliant, and this does not reach it. This book is not brilliant, but it's also not terrible. It's just a strange piece in a mind that's different kinds of strange between different kinds of strange people. Like, it seriously depends on how your experience with themes in this are for you to understand it in a way, because everyone's gonna understand it different. For me, in this book, I mentioned it in my honest reading, and that's, this book taught me to live because of the whole recovery phase. I mean, it was in combination with the Dead Poet Society movie, because like this kind of pulled me out of a slump, and then I watched Dead Poet Society, like the movie, shortly after reading this. I believe it was in like 2 months after reading this that I watched Dead Poet Society, and so this got me out of slump to be alive, and Dead Poet Society kind of fleshed it out to show me how to enjoy living. Because this book is not gonna teach you how to live, because this book does not show you how it looks like after. It shows you during, like this shows you the worst phase of recovery. For anything better, you have to look elsewhere. yeah, I think those are all my thoughts. Take care of yourself. Don't hurt yourself, or but do it in a safe way. Before anyone normal freaks out when I'm saying, there's this thing called harm reduction. If you hurt yourself, clean it up. Make sure it doesn't get an infection. Go get stitches. Use sterile, be hygienic. If you are any other flavor of addict, again, be hygienic, know your limits, and if you are my flavor of an addict, fucking eat something. I guess. I don't know. I'm just rambling on. Mwah, love you, bye.